I used to work at Coca-Cola, and part of my job was to understand what was happening in the soft drinks categories and where the opportunities were. There were some big opportunities opening up, and the big soft drinks companies weren't doing enough about it. So myself and my colleagues decided to get out of there and do it ourselves. So we saw a big opportunity, left the business and sat around a table with a blank piece of paper and created the idea for the business and the brand, and we haven't looked back since. Running your own company is just a completely different journey than working for a big corporation. We literally started with a blank piece of paper and nothing, so we were doing everything from buying the stamps to making the tea to negotiating with the suppliers and designing the brand. In a big company you get to do one thing. In a small company you get to do absolutely everything, so you learn an enormous amount and you have responsibility for everything. You also don't have to go to anyone else for decisions, so you can move really fast, do your own thing, have a bit of fun, make a few mistakes, and learn a lot along the way. So it's been a good ride. I think when you launch a new product, you've got to work on the assumption that you've not got a huge marketing budget to go and spend a lot of money on TV and drive awareness that way. What you've absolutely got to do is do something that gets the consumer to try the product once. And that can just be it's new and different, and getting it onto the right shelves in front of the right consumers will get you tried. That's useless unless the product's good enough that they'll come back and buy it again, and by the way, tell their friends how good it was. So getting the product exactly right and getting it onto the right shelves in front of the right consumers so that you get the trial in the first place, the repeat purchase, and then the loyalty to that product and the consumers talking about you. That's the fundamentals. And then over and above that, once you've got enough money, you can start to spend a little bit of money having a bit of fun with consumers, talking to them through marketing and promotions and other activities that really engage them in the brand and inform them a little bit more about what sort of company you are. The Feel Good Drinks brand and product range filled a big gap in the market. If you looked at a lot of countries around the world, there were lots of products with really good quality juice drinks. In the UK, there weren't really that many around. There were some decent-sized brands, but they weren't particularly good quality products, and they weren't giving consumers what they wanted, which was natural, healthy drinks that were good value for money, but tasted really brilliant. And we saw that gap and created some products that filled it. And the feedback we get from consumers about the brand and the products is absolutely awesome. And we've continued to develop the range along those rules as we've gone along over the last few years. We wanted to provide drinks for consumers who were willing to try new things. We don't particularly target a specific age profile or demographic, but we like to think that our brand appeals to people who are looking for something a little bit more natural and a little bit more healthy. They're not health freaks, they're not obsessed, but they know a good product when they see one and they're willing to try something new. Those people tend to have very active lives, so they'll be drinking products at home, they'll be driving to work, stopping at garages to buy drinks there, they'll be popping out at lunchtime for a sandwich and a drink, and they'll be socialising in the evening in bars. So if we could create a brand that really met their needs, really appealed to them, and was available in all those different points of consumption throughout their day, then we thought that was a good recipe for success, and that's exactly what we've tried to do. I think having a background of working for one of the big players in the category we've launched in has been immensely useful. We know what the category looks like, we know how it works, and we've got some good experience of developing products of this type. We would have been crazy to try and start a business as fashion models or dressmakers because we didn't know anything about that. We're soft drinks guys. We know how it works, so we've done soft drinks. And I'd really advocate anyone starting their own business to think about what they're good at and do what you do it well. And I think that for us that was developing a really good soft drinks brand. We were quite fortunate in that our background was that we were a team of guys who'd left the biggest soft drinks company in the country to start a soft drinks company, and there's a degree to which that's quite intriguing if you're a buyer. We managed to get some good trade press coverage quite early on, just about the fact that we'd left and were starting our own business. So that in and of itself managed to generate us 1 or 2 customer meetings very early on, and once you're on a few shelves and it's working, that will perpetuate, and people start to see the product around, and that generates more meetings down the line. It is very difficult to get meetings in with some of the bigger customers. But you've got to persist. You've got to just keep on going. We picked up the phone to the Superdrug buyer and a number of other buyers very early on in the business's life. They're a great retailer, and they had quicker decision-making processes than a couple of the others. And we were very fortunate that they gave us our first order back in June 2002. The introduction to them came from us picking up the phone and saying, "Hi, we've just left big soft drinks company, started our own business. Would you like to talk to us about what we're doing?" And they were creative enough to say, "Yes, we'll give you half an hour. Come and tell us all about it." So I think you've got to have buyers in your category who are willing to take a risk and try new things for their consumers, and they did, and many other people have done since. The three guys who set this business up had quite a lot of their background experience was in marketing and branding. So we have a track record in developing brands. There are clearly some things we're not experts at. There are some important elements of branding like design, and it's really important to find partners to work with, agencies and designers who really understand the concept that you're trying to develop, really get it, and are just on the same wavelength as you and understand your consumers. Finding those partners, getting them to work through hundreds of iterations of what the brand's going to look like before you get it exactly right is really important. And I think you've got to manage that process yourself, and you've got to be absolutely passionate about it and never accept any compromise. Just set yourself an incredibly high standard and go for it. When it's done right means that frankly, it means the boss can go on holiday for a couple of weeks at one level. If you get to the point where you are finding out about great things that your team have done, you've empowered your team. There should be things happening that you don't know about when you get to a reasonable size in the business. Not day one, because you pretty much need to be doing everything and keeping your hands across the whole business. But if you get to any kind of size, you need a team who you trust and who you allow to do the stuff that makes the business tick and makes the business move forward. And they'll surprise you by doing wonderful things, and occasionally they'll make terrible, terrible mistakes. I think you're a great boss if you let them make mistakes and coach them on how to improve next time. There are certain bits of the business that I, as the managing director of the business and one of the founders, keep a very firm rein on. So I'm right across the finances of the company, so that's very important. But an awful lot of the sort of running of the company is delegated to the team. So they are driving the agenda with the customers and managing the suppliers and all of those things. I think the important role for the directors and founders is to keep the business true to what it set out to do in the first place. So, stick to the vision and make sure everyone's lined up and knows where we're going, and that everything that's being done is kind of moving everything in the right direction. But mostly it's about supporting and helping the team. They've got their own objectives and they'll come up against their own barriers and challenges. And occasionally it's useful if one of the directors either coaches them through that, or if they come up against a brick wall, you go in and knock the brick wall down. So I think that's kind of the role as you develop the bigger business. That and recruiting more great people as we grow, and that's clearly a very big part of things.